What's up, everybody? Welcome to our first episode of High Performers, where we say hello to some of the brightest minds in marketing and entrepreneurship, all to bring you insights that can help you get better performance from your marketing and grow your business. So today we have, proud to have my co-founder here, Sam Martin, as a guest on the first episode. Sam is co-founder and director of growth at Interlace Digital. So Sam, thanks for hopping on with me.
Great to be here, Brian. Excited to be a part of this new series, and it'll be cool to sit down and kind of talk through some things with you.
I love it. So quick background, I guess, for everybody. Sam and I have now been building Interlace for just about
Just over 4 years.
coming up on 4 year. Yeah, coming up on
Well,
4 year anniversary.
my birthday was actually October 10th.
All right, there we go. So we just passed it. Things are moving fast. But we actually met in a Facebook group of all places back in, was it February of 2017? And yeah, once the pandemic hit, I feel like it's pretty kind of ironic how we ended up starting this company remotely, opposite sides of the country. It all became very relevant in 2020 when COVID hit, and that became the new norm. So I'm proud to say we were ahead of the curve a little bit on that, and that helped us get where we are today. Several team members and servicing some great clients, and yeah, it's gonna be great to hear from you a little bit. I know personally that you've been in some other businesses in the past, but give us a quick rundown of how you got to this place in Interlace and some of the experience you had beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. You make a very good point. Just a quick note on that. You make a very good point with COVID and how things have kind of become the new norm with remote work. We were definitely right place, right time, and didn't really know it that we were kind of going to be ahead of that curve with remote work. But it's certainly how it ended up working out for us. So yeah, a bit of my background. I started in I guess the digital like marketing world when I think I was about 20 years old, so almost 10 years now. I started off doing web design, a little bit of social media marketing on the side, but primarily website design for businesses here in Los Angeles within my network. So I was pretty much, asking people's friends that I knew or people I went to high school with or whoever I could just to try and find work out here. And I just kind of knew I wanted to work for myself and saw the opportunity in digital and just the lifestyle that came along with it, being able to work very flexible hours and working with different kinds of businesses. Things are always very interesting and no 2 days were ever really the same. So I did website design for a lot of my 20s. I met my first business partner ever. I think I was probably 23, 24. I mean, honestly, a lot of these years kind of meshed together at this point. But
Yeah.
started my first agency, if you will, which we weren't really an agency. We called ourselves an agency, but it was me and a couple other guys doing website design and trying to, generate clients and have ourselves a real company here, which didn't end up working out. That was the first one that kind of crashed and burned. And we then rolled that failed business into a new one. We found this guy who was like, "Oh, I'm going to invest and I want to help you bring some life back into this company. I know all these people. I can bring you clients." We said, "Okay, we'll give it one more shot." And then again, that was probably maybe, I don't know, I was probably 24, 25 at that point. That also crashed and burned. So needless to say, after that, I was like, all right, I'm going back to freelance life. I'm going to work up just by myself from now on. I really don't want to, go through this experience again of just investing so much time and money and resources into building something and then seeing it not come to fruition. But then again, as you said, 2017 I met you, and that was, I guess, for me, that was technically the third business I've been a part of when we started working together. And we were kind of just exchanging work across the coast, me being here in LA, you being in New York. We didn't really talk about starting a company together until I think maybe after about a year of us working together. And
Yeah,
then,
almost a year and a half, I think.
yeah, something like that. We've been, again, kind of just doing freelance, exchanging projects. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Blah, blah, blah. And after, yeah, maybe a year and a half, some time, it was like, maybe we should like give this a shot because,
Yeah.
looking at it now, like we both had very different skill sets and they kind of complemented each other. Where like we were really able to I guess work with a larger range of clients because we had different skill sets. And it wasn't like we were both web designers or both marketers. Like we were able to kind of, again, like work with more people because of that skill set. So either way, yeah, that was, I guess in 2018, we started, October of 2018 was officially like the LLC, like getting formed and all that. And then
Yep.
you left your job maybe a year later, 2019, something
Yeah,
like that.
September 2019. You definitely had a higher tolerance for risk, I think, leading up to that point. Because I feel like you have a true true entrepreneurial story in the sense of like trying a business, trying a business, trying a business, and finally hits. And then even once it does hit, it's not like it hits like in 30 days. It's like now it's been another 4 years since then, but it's just
For
been like
sure.
a slow build, or maybe a really fast build, and now starting to slow up a little bit as we figure out how to scale, which has been really cool. But yeah, my journey obviously a little bit different. Sticking to the full time stuff, freelancing on the side. So I always admired your ability to just be out on your own. And you're always asking me when are you going to leave your job, and I was terrified. I was like, how is this dude living in
There was
LA
pressure.
doing his? Yeah, I was like, I'm in Buffalo, where it's got the lowest cost of living ever, and I was terrified to go on my own. I was like, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make money? So it's just it's really interesting. But even at like 23, whatever, to start diving into business and freelance, I mean, yeah, can't replace that experience, even though if it didn't pan out, maybe the way you initially thought it would. So and it led
For
us here.
sure.
So I'm good with it. And yeah, it's been quite the journey so far. So I guess true to this content series and what we're trying to accomplish, we want to share learnings that help people grow, and just things we're going through as well. So I guess if there's one thing, in more recent here, last 6 to 12 months, what's something that maybe you've figured out recently with Interlace that is allowing us to take that next step and continue to grow?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, as you've said, we started Interlace in 2018. As we all know, the pandemic came, within a couple of years of that. So the landscape of business changed really quickly. We've been through a lot. You and I have certainly shared many moments like during the pandemic, especially that we're like, how the hell are we still going right now? Like, how are things still moving in this direction? We got lucky for sure over the course of I guess the inception of the business. I mean, we never really had a true sales process until this year, and I'm kind of leading up to that. But you have a great network out in New York. I have a good network here in LA, and so to everyone watching, we were able to essentially double business's revenue year over year for the first 2 or 3 years of the company's lifespan, just based off of referrals alone. We never really had a true sales process with outreach or inbound or really anything. Like, we
Yeah.
work, we do great work. And so, we get a referral here and there, and then Brian would get introduced to this person, then all of a sudden that person's bringing us business. So we were lucky to have that. And so, through, 2019, 2020, 2021, again, money's doubling pretty much year over year. And we were kind of like going into 2022, we were like, yeah, there's no reason for this to stop. It's worked like this, every year leading up until this point. And I think that was kind of maybe the first, I guess maybe not mistake, but I even call it first mistake, I suppose. We're just kind of assuming, oh yeah, this trend is just gonna continue, like because this is how it's worked. It's just gonna continue. And we started off the year with I think we had 4 employees plus you and me. Right, there was I think 6 or 7 of us. Ending 2021, going into 2022, that was kind of our team size.
Yep.
And remember, like looking through the books and looking through our P&L and just kind of looking at the numbers, and it was like our profit margins aren't very good, and we need to kind of look at this and figure out what we're going to do to scale this year, because we were trying to hit 7 figures this year. And again, I remember we consulted with Josh Johnston of the Hydra community, and we kind of went through some things, and he was like, look, you guys really need to take a look at your team size, your structure, your processes, your service offering. I mean, damn near everything that we were doing.
Yeah.
Josh was like,
Question everything.
yeah, you need to take a step back and like look at what you have going on here, and clean some things up, strip some things down, take some services away. And we realized pretty quickly that that was like the best advice that we could have ever received. Up until this point, I was a director of web and e-commerce, which was a service that was bringing in 6 figures a year for us for sure. The thing is, though, is that under you and as a director of marketing, we had pretty much all the employees working under you, and I was the only one on the team who could really do anything web related. So that was a big thing in 2021. Was like I was on this island working on websites all the time, and we'd come in to like do full team meetings and do client reviews, and like I had no idea what you guys were talking about because I was working on deliverables that maybe they were related to the client, but they weren't anything related to the marketing, the ads, the reporting. So I was
Yeah,
super out
you're
of the
on
loop.
an island.
Yeah, literally on an island. So the team was just kind of all over the place. And so that was one of the first decisions that we made this year was we need to get rid of web and a few other services. But that was the biggest one because, as we know, like that was my that's been my whole background for the last almost 10 years. So it was a difficult decision to make, but a necessary one for sure. And what we ended up deciding was moving me into this director of growth role, which we also, looking at the structure of the company, realized we don't have any set sales strategy. There's no outreach. We're really depending on these referrals, and it's just not scalable. And we're
Yeah.
sitting there going, I remember like looking at that and being like, how did we expect to get to 7 figures this year without
Yeah, it was
having?
madness. I realize why we were so stressful now, or so stressed all the time in the first couple of years, because it was great, but I just remember like we'd have months where, okay, you have two leads or two good combos with prospective clients, and the next month we'll have like 5 to 7. Like it was maybe there's 10 meetings. I don't know. Like it would be so hot and cold
Yep.
that there was just no way for it to be predictable at all, which was probably why we were like pulling our hair out half the time and
Yep.
just
Exactly.
stressing out so much. It was
We
like,
were
oh,
operating
it
with
was,
such high operating expenses with all the team members. Like we didn't have any margin for like losing clients, and so like when
yeah,
the client churned or would want to pause services, or maybe look at reducing the retainer and taking services out, like yeah, we were freaking out because it was like, if we barely have enough money to add to our savings account, to our profit account. If we lose this client, we're not going to be able to make payroll.
yeah,
So yeah, that was certainly going into this year and like looking at I guess the framework of the business. That was really it for me. Was like, and it probably seems obvious to most people in the agency space that yeah, of course you have to have a predictable sales model and strategy and all this. We really just thought we could fly by the seat of our pants and it was just going to work, and the referrals are going to keep coming in, and we do still get referrals now to this day. But working this year to kind of give myself, within this new title, director of growth, learning more about cold outreach, because like I can sell things, but when the business comes to me, like I worked
yeah.
for Apple, I worked for Tesla when I was younger,
It's a
and
little
those
easier that way.
customers, yeah, the customers that I've worked with in sales, again, like at companies like Apple and Tesla when I was younger, like they come in knowing that they're buying something. You just have to help them find what they're buying. You're not
Yeah,
having to actually sell them on something. So learning how to deal with cold outreach, how to write good emails, LinkedIn conversations, how to design and present better pitch decks and company capabilities decks, and handling objections and all these kinds of things really have been a huge learning curve for me, but a really fun one, because when those meetings come in now from an email campaign that we've launched or a LinkedIn message that I send, we get a meeting and we get to talk to someone and they're really interested. It's like, oh yeah, it feels really, really good. So I would say, yeah, just to kind of summarize, I think biggest learning for me this year was one, just how important it is to have a really solid sales strategy for predictable growth. And two, on top of that, really looking at what you are the best at. Because as we mentioned earlier in this conversation, like cutting out web was a difficult but necessary decision. Like, because we're good at even like you're good at in WordPress and building websites as well. We
hmm
have the chops to do websites, but it certainly wasn't what people came to us for. It wasn't like the best thing that we offered. And
yeah,
we looked at the business and it was like, okay, what do people come to us for? Well, it's really like paid media and social media. Like that's what they want to work with us for. So
yep,
looking at that now and seeing how we've been able to keep the cost of the company lower by having less employees, have a more concise offering that on the sales end makes it easier for me to do my job, because I'm talking to people going like, we do this and that's it. We're not giving them a buffet of choices. We're giving them like, you get this or this, and that's pretty much it. If you want it, let's talk. If not, then maybe we'll find somebody else to work with. Um, so yeah, I think just again, like looking at the service, making sure our offering is clean and concise, and taking the time to really build a predictable sales strategy, but definitely the most
yeah,
important things this year. And closing out the year now, going to Q4, like we've things have changed so much. Our profit margins are so much healthier. The team, I think, has a much clearer direction on what they're working on, what their KPI should be looking like for our clients. Everything is just so much cleaner and more organized. When we took this year to really take a step back and just look and go, okay, like we've gotten this far, we've made it past, a lot of businesses don't even make it past their second or third year. So the fact that we made it through a fourth is great on its own.
yep.
But if we really want to get to 7 figures, we need to slow it down a little bit. Instead of continuing to sprint full speed ahead with the blinders on, let's like pause the race, take a look at what's going on around us, make some adjustments, and then get back on the road. And I feel like that's what we've done this year.
I love it, man. It's huge, honestly. I think to your point, and this is probably helpful because I see other like freelancers or even just young agencies, and we're still a very young, small agency, but I think we're starting to learn how to get to that next phase, and that's really what it is. Like you can grow, even what we were doing last year, like, sure, we could have kept on that path and just take on any digital project that came our way. I mean, web, marketing automation, anything that we're capable of. Yeah, sure, it was great and we can make money, but to do it more intentionally and have, as you said, more of a concise offer, a sales strategy we can put to it, and then also which I think has been my biggest takeaway this year is how to make that easier for the team to fulfill internally. Because I think, there's probably negative experiences for past team members just because of us going through growing pains. We've always put a really strong focus on just trying to be a good place to work, having a good culture, and really focusing on client success. Like those have always just been like non-negotiable from the beginning, which is why I think like got us to where we did through the first 3 years of just like all of those things just having to like just had to be there. But then this year just being more intentional, like, okay, yes, we want to focus in on this service, but also how are we fulfilling that with the team? How does that affect our team members? Are we making it easier for them? Do they understand how we're growing, and all of that? A little bit more transparency across the board, which I know has been a big learning curve for all of us. So yeah, but I appreciate the insights. I think it's a great takeaway. And even on some of the outreach stuff, I mean, I have very minimal, experience with that, like cold outreach. Everything I've always done was inbound as well, or if anything, using kind of personal brand and personal network to grow in some sense in my previous agency roles. So it's been cool to see you taking that on from scratch here and, finding a way forward for us, which has certainly been working, and we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah,
On
we
that as
really
well.
are just very, very surface, very tip of the iceberg. I'm excited to keep diving deeper with this and, diversifying our emails and doing A/B testing. And
Yep.
it's like almost limitless what you can do. So it's exciting to see what we'll be able to do and going into next year, especially
And
now.
what are
I feel like,
for
yeah,
anybody watching, maybe trying to nail down focus on their offer and focus on more of a cold outreach strategy? What are like one or two of the softwares you're using to start executing that for us?
Good question. Lemlist is the big one for the actual email sequences themselves. Lemlist, I'm trying to remember. I think you actually found or saw an ad for it somewhere and had sent it to me at some point in the last few months. And out of all of the email, like outreach, like I guess sales email softwares that automate your sequences and like verify leads for you, allow you to create lists and campaigns and all that kind of stuff. I love the UI. The user interface is super, super clean. It's very, very easy to work with. They've got really good resources. Their blog is filled with videos and articles on different ways to improve your emails, how to utilize certain features that Lemlist has that kind of make it a bit more of a different product. I
Yeah.
also really like that they have a direct integration with LinkedIn, as well as this software called Drop Contact, which is something I hadn't heard of until working with Lemlist. But pretty much what you're able to do is either directly add leads from LinkedIn to a campaign in Lemlist. There's
Mhm.
a Chrome extension where when you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, you click the
There's a
little
Chrome
Lemlist
extension
icon.
for drop contact
No, sorry, it's for
for
Lemlists.
Lemlist.
When
Okay.
you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, you click the little Chrome extension, in your toolbar, and it pulls all that person's information from LinkedIn and allows you to add it to your campaign. If that
Okay.
person's business email is not available on LinkedIn, then Drop Contact, which is a software that does like a further what's called enrichment of that lead, will pretty much search the internet and search that person's name in different databases to try and find you a verified business email for them. So with the LinkedIn enrichment tool and the Drop Contact enrichment tool working together on your campaigns, when you import a list of leads, it takes a few days to process everything, but it really goes through and verifies every single email that you've added to the list. So you know that you're contacting real verified emails for people that are still
That's
working at
huge.
these companies. You're not using old data, basically. So love Lemlist for that. And then as far as actual lead generation and finding businesses and people that we want to try and contact, Apollo IO for sure, all day. I know that we actually first signed up for Apollo much, much earlier in the year. They also have software built in to send emails and create
Hmm.
sequences and that kind of stuff. Not really a fan of it for that. I think Lemlist is better for the actual email processes, but Apollo IO's tools to search and filter businesses based off of location, company size, job title, revenue. Whether they've been funded or not. There's so many filters in there for you to really find that ideal client or the ideal company persona. So those two are the big ones. And of course, HubSpot for the actual CRM to manage our meetings and our sales pipeline. But on the actual outreach, it's definitely Lemlist and Apollo IO for us.
I love it. That's huge. Well, thank you for that.
Thanks.
I'll recap that somewhere here in the comment on this as well, so people can get the links out to those. But yeah, totally agree. Both of those software are super powerful, and you're the one in them all the time, so I haven't even really seen them in action too much. But I know early on, the deliverability of the campaigns has been really strong, and I have toyed around in Apollo a little bit. I think the good thing with Apollo too is it's super cost effective. But I mean, both of them are pretty cost effective, but there's like the cream of the crop Zoom Info, which is like thousands of dollars, probably the best prospecting tool out there for sales teams. But something like Apollo can do a lot of the same, indexing or searching, whatever you want to call it, for those contacts at a much cheaper level, or even just using the free plan just to get people started. So I know that was kind of important for us to just try and keep it a lean, cost-effective operation, and seems to be paying off so far. And again, we're still really early onto it. So any freelancers out there and or agencies looking to up their sales game, check out Lemlist, check out apollo.io, or leave something in the comments if you've used something recently that's been great. If you guys have any additional any other questions for Sam about this, feel free to reach out to him through LinkedIn, Sam Martin, or email sam@interlace.digital, or just leave us a comment here and we will make sure we follow up with you guys. Sam, I appreciate you hopping on here. Thank you for all the good info, and looking forward to having you on again soon.
Sounds good, man.